Hello and welcome back to Dawn Chorus Writes, a Miraculous Ladybug Fanfiction and Audiofic. This is the AU series, Our Winter's Dream, and I know it's not winter, it's spring, but bear with me. I hope you're enjoying it so far. It's a twist on the story, so it's different, but it's good. Massive shout out and thank you to Marge for the use of her beautiful, stunning, commissioned artwork in the thumbnail. So make sure you go and send her lots of love. All the information is down below. Make sure you send me lots of love for writing and narrating this story by smashing that like button. Comment down below what you think of it and what will happen next, and make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out on future parts and chapters. Now it's coming back. Enjoy. Chapter 4. Alya paced back and forth, clenching her phone and staring at the time. She wasn't sure how long she had, how long they could endure it. A car she knew all too well screeched to a sudden stop along the vacant street as Nino practically jumped out of the car and dashed next to her. "Where have you been?" she yelled, panic clear in her voice, a tone she rarely used. "Sorry, my manager." He was out of breath, even though he had been driving. He hit his hand twice against his chest, an action he did when his heart was racing too much. "What's happened? You said? On the phone?" She grabbed hold of one of his wrists and pulled him towards the nearest manhole. "It's better if... You'll see." "Sewers?" She nodded. It wasn't a spot Nino nor Carapace knew that well, especially compared to Rena or Alya. Compared to... No, she was... They would protect whilst Cat fixed it. He would bring her back. They landed on the platform and she took Nino's hand again, this time more for reassurance than guiding. They turned the corner and there it was. Marinette, her best friend, was enclosed within a golden orb, circled in on herself like a babe, a helpless being. But leaning against the fear was Cat Noir, one hand on the barrier whilst a red thread spun around his arm and body and had somehow pierced through, threading around Marinette too. "Akuma?" was all Nino said. "We are guessing, but the strange thing is, it doesn't seem to be affecting anyone else, only Marinette." "How? When?" Nino took a step closer and squeezed her hand. "We were making our way from the studio and Marinette just stopped. She froze and then..." She gestured to the orb in front of her. "Straight away I called Adrien. We managed to push her down here and away from people. Plagg said he sensed something strange and struggled to reach out to Tiki. That's when Adrien kind of panicked and transformed into Cat and tried to break the orb. But when he touched it, he froze like Marinette had and that red thread appeared, wrapping around them both." "What did Adrien, Cat, say?" "Nothing. He's been like that since. It looks like he's in some sort of trance, and I can't wake him up. I can't break the blasted thing. Nothing is working, and I don't know what is happening to them. And I've been calling you." She felt a weighted hand on her shoulder and stopped her frantic gestures. "I'm sorry," he breathed into her ear, "but I'm here now, babe. We'll figure this out. Together. Have you tried calling anyone else in the team?" "No. I'm not sure how they can help, or what if they saw Cat transform back? Only we are allowed to know. I can't risk it." He spun her around to face him, somehow his hands never leaving her shoulders. "I get that, but this isn't Akuma. Then there has to be a villain, right?" Alya nodded. "So, if we call up Luca and Zoe, they have their Miraculous, right?" Alya nodded again. "They could search the city whilst we figure out what to do down here." Okay, what Nino said made sense, but he was missing one thing. Ladybug! What is the point of capturing the villain if we can't even purify and cleanse? Tiki is locked inside there too. Because if they capture the villain, we can at least figure out who, why, and get some clues onto how to stop it. His voice was strong, confident, and not his usual jokiness that people normally saw. No, this was why he was her rock. A head crashed onto his chest. Oh, thank you. The words caught in the long sigh she released. I couldn't think. She pointed to her best friends stuck in the trap, lost to what was happening to them. Knowing Adrien, he will do anything to bring her back, and we will do our part for when he does. She rubbed her forehead against the soft cotton hoodie and felt a gentle kiss land on the top of her head. She had to trust. She had to believe that Cat would bring her back, and they had to do anything, even risk it all if she had to. Arm linked with Teeks and Alya leading the way through the gathering crowd. Maria loved this time of year, hearing her papa sing carols in the bakery as he prepared the festive treats, the smell of mulled wine wafting around the wooden huts, the noise of people gossiping, laughing, excited at discovering new treasures. But what finished it off were the lights glittering above, as if they were stars pulled down from the heavens and cast out the long dark nights. She glanced up at her best friend, who held her nose in the air, sniffing the sweet treats, to the point if she looked carefully she would notice a gathering of drool in the corner of her mouth. Her friend loved them that much. Papa had even made Teeks his chief dessert taster, only being sold in the shop once they met her approval. Maria wrapped her arms tighter and leant her head on Teeks' shoulder. "Glad you came?" her friend asked dearly. "Yeah, I'm really glad I came. You were right. It feels good to step out of the flat and get some fresh air." "Feel the seasons? Embrace the festivities?" "I feel the seasons are right. It's freezing." Maria watched the billow of cloud forming from her words drifting out in front of her. "Well, I know what will solve that problem. Mulled wine at 10 o'clock. Oh, I love that smell. Now I know Christmas is coming." Alya rejoiced, spinning back round and picked up the speed. "Hey, wait up for us!" Teeks laughed. "Oh, I think I already see Nino. Did he say someone else? Oh." Her friend paused and stared and almost caused Maria to stumble in the people in front of them. "Sorry, careful, Teeks. What is it?" Maria twisted herself to get a better view of whatever her friend had locked onto. "Nothing? Oh, yes, sorry. You know what? I think I saw something back there on one of those stalls I really want to get. Let's go back before I forget." Teeks tried to turn and step, but Maria wouldn't let her. "What are you on about? What item are you talking about? Anyway, I'm sure it'll still be there in 10 minutes. But we're almost at the mulled wine hut, and Alya has found Nino, and... No. He wouldn't. He couldn't." Her heart pounded in her chest, followed by a cough as she inhaled the cold air. "Nino wouldn't. Why here? Why now?" The golden twinkle lights lit up his own golden hair almost like a halo. Wouldn't that be ironic? Him, saintly. More like the devil in disguise, Maria muttered under her breath. "Let's turn back round. I'll text Alya and shout at Nino later." No. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to let him drive me away from my mulled wine, but I might need a double. I'm not going to give him the satisfaction knowing I... In that moment, Adrien turned his head in the direction of where Alya was pointing and locked his eyes onto hers. Instantly, her heart skipped a beat as she could feel her cheeks blush even in the chilly air. Nobody. Don't you betray me alongside that Judas. She took a couple of deep breaths to stop the world from spinning. Are you sure? Teeks whispered into her ear. But all she could do was nod and allow her friend to guide her feet forward as she darted her eyes to the ground, to the sky, to the lights, to anywhere but at him. Hey, Teeks! Maria, this place is buzzing this year, Nina remarked in an awkward tone, knowing that Teeks was giving him one of her looks whilst having a wordless conversation of why. It's a funny story. I bumped into Adrien on the street, just like that, without his trail of people. And well, we thought it would be great. Good for us all to catch up. It's been a long while since we saw each other. Maria's eyes finally landed on her friends and saw the sorry with a hint of plead reflecting back. Hi, everyone. She ignored the voice, the one which had taken her years to get over, and kept her focus on her actual friends. It's like Nino said, it's been a while and I found a free day and wanted to hang out like we used to, Adrien said lightly, as if it was no big deal. That was it. That was it. The shock and the slight panic now gave way to anger. She spun around and glared at him. Oh, you just want to hang out, do you? Just like that, she said in a harsh tone. Maria! Alya stopped when her eyes locked onto hers, seeing she was desperately fighting back the tears. Yeah, I've been meaning to see you all. From the corner of her eye, she could see Adrien rubbing his neck in that awkward manner of his. Good. Let him be awkward. That is the least he could feel after spoiling her illuminations and mulled wine trip. Well, that's good. Good for you. I'm glad you have finally found the time for your friends. Maria, let's go get some air. Teeks tried to tug Maria back a couple of steps, but instead she slipped her arm out of the hold. You all have fun then. I'm just here to grab some mulled wine and I need to head back. Deadline and all. Plus, I just realised I need to go and kill off a character. How does stabbing through the heart sound? She couldn't help her gaze landing back on Adrien for a split second just to catch his reaction, but wasn't prepared to see the honest confusion staring back at her. Maria, that's a bit much. Why don't we all grab some and take a walk? She could see Alya nudging Nino in the ribs, hinting for backup. Yeah, that sounds like a great plan, Nina declared loudly. Why don't I be the one to shoot off? I'm the one who intruded on your plans. I'm sorry, Adrien said, patting Nino on the shoulder. Maybe some other time. What? And wait another 3 years until we have a chance for another catch-up? No. I have you now, and I'm sure once we start walking, it'll be fine. For a few hours, won't it? Alya said, blunt as always. Oh, the pressure. She could feel all eyes bearing down on her. What to do? Grab the drink and turn back round in a clear statement, or does she swallow back the anger and anguish that was coursing through her for the sake of her actual friends? It was only going to be a few hours at best. There was no way his team would allow him any more time and freedom. Then it would be another 3 years plus before she had to face this person again. Her eyes darted on and off from Adrien, who was doing the same thing to her before landing back on his feet. This wasn't fair on her friends, and no matter what has happened in the past between herself and Adrien, that was between them. Her friends shouldn't have to suffer too. 1 hour. And then if he hasn't left, she will. And maybe 2 or 3 mugs of mulled wine will help the situation. It's fine. She tried to sound happy through a sigh. It's like you said. It will be probably years again before we see each other again. So, what is the harm in an hour or so? That's the spirit, Alya tried to add in. I'm going to go. Maria gestured to the booth next to them. Who wants one? All of her friends' hands shot up. Let me help. Adrien quickly blurted out, moving towards her. Oh, that's... She held up a hand, but noticed Alya nodding her head. Thanks. Maria shot Adrien in a disgruntled half smile before turning round and weaving through the group of people for the back of the queue. I'm sorry for intruding again. I wanted to see everyone. I wanted to see you. She could feel his presence behind her. How much he had grown since they had last met. How imposing he felt. How protective it would feel for his arms around her. No, bad brain. This Adrien and her Adrien were 2 completely different people. No, this one had burnt his bridges a long while ago when he betrayed her. Adrien, let's not pretend here. I'm staying for my actual friends. I'll play nice, and then we will go our separate ways, she whispered so only he could hear. Suddenly a jostle in front caused her to stumble backwards, only to be caught in his arms. Sorry. She glanced upwards and noticed the same confusion as before, staring back at her. Strange. How can he look at her that way? As if he has forgotten. The very thought sparked a fire inside of her and brought with it an anger that was fierce. Fine. He can go ahead and forget what he has done, but she will never. His words, the look, the image will forever be imprinted on her heart and mind. She gained back her footing and shrugged off his hold. Thanks, she grumbled, turning back round to the front. Sorry, I didn't mean to. His voice drifted in with the noise of the crowd, which was starting to take an interest in her helper. Isn't that? You know what? It could be. Maria heard the voices through the crowd and darted back to Adrien. And for the first time, realised he was standing there without his usual public disguise she had seen in pictures. Without thinking, she took off her hand-knitted blue scarf and tugged at his arm to lower him down to her height. The questioning look in his eyes, searching her face for the answer of what she was doing. How could you turn up without using your mask and hat? She muttered in response, now wrapping her scarf around his neck, covering up half of his face. You're not even going to last 5 minutes without social media going crazy and your team turning up. She tucked the ends into his woolen overcoat, refusing to look at his face and seeing more questions she didn't have the answers to. Why was she doing this? It would have made the perfect excuse for him to leave and bring back a sense of peace to her evening. Yeah, thanks. I don't know what I was thinking. His voice was gentle and warm. Next order, called out the woman in the tiny wooden hut. Grateful for the excuse to remove herself from the situation, Maria spun round and greeted her. Can I get 5 mulled wines? Make one of them extra large, please, and 5 spiced madeleines, please. Adrien added behind her. How did he know she liked those with mulled wine? She glanced backwards and was greeted with a soft smile. What was happening? He wasn't acting like his normal self. He was acting like Adrien in the books. He's not doing this on purpose, is he? Was he taking the mickey out of her? Was that what he was doing? You can't have one without the other. It wouldn't be the same. They were a pair in my book. His smile became broad, and there was a twinkle in his eyes that wasn't there before. All she could do was nod. Her brain was processing every bit of information it could in the hopes to find an answer. And thanks for this. He ran his fingers over the knitted weave, and then he let out a warm chuckle. What? Nothing. Sorry, I just got a hint of vanilla mixed with cinnamon and nutmeg. Brown sugar? Did you have spiced coffee this morning? Your usual festive mix? He leaned in a little closer and raised one eyebrow, instantly causing her heart to race and her lungs to stop working all at the same time. How did you... I know a lot more than you think. Let's just say I'm not the same person you remember. If you give me a chance, I'd like to prove it to you. Orders up. That will be 32 euros, please. The lady called out, snapping Maria out of her trance. She spun around and forced a smile whilst grabbing for her purse. Please, allow me. A hand holding 2 notes speeded past her line of vision. As quick as a flash, her hand leapt out and clung onto his. No, she shouted, and he stopped. I don't need your money. I don't need answers. I don't need to waste my time. I don't need you. His wrist dropped out of her hand and retracted back to his side. She lowered her voice in the hopes that the interested customers might not hear. Stop the act. You've changed? An hour after 3 years? After what you did? Am I meant to believe you? No one can change that much. She placed her bank card on top of the reader until there was a beep. I have. Let me prove it to you. You're right. An hour isn't enough. Meet me again. Just the 2 of us, and I will... Enough. You've done enough already. I'm not. Think it over. Please. He almost sounded like he was begging her, pleading her. Did she really matter to him that much? He placed the brown paper bag on top of a few cups before picking up the cardboard carrier. After all, we still have these to enjoy. Adrien! Her words were lost as someone bumped into her. I'm so sorry, a male voice called out next to her. Are you alright? I lost my footing on the cobbles. Wait, do I know you? Maria found herself spinning round and facing the direction of the voice. It's fine, I'm fine. Maria? Maria Dupin-Chan. It's... He pointed from her to his chest. Boniface. Boniface Fable. You might not. I was in the year above. I used to drop by the bakery during lunch. Your papa is the best baker. His eyes. His hazel eyes were fixed on her and found she couldn't look away no matter how much she tried. You haven't changed. Thank you for listening to chapter 4. I hope you're enjoying this so far. Yeah, it's giving you some little teas. Make sure you smash that like button. Please send me some love for writing and narrating it. Make sure you comment down below what you think of it and who is this new person. And what troubles may they cause. And bless Adrien, these little cotton socks. Right, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already so you do not miss out on this series and other series and other one-shots to come. And I hope you are good. And thank you for sticking with me and all the lovely messages. And I will speak to you soon. Bye.